Do you feel disempowered, disrespected, not good enough, and not worthy? Well, the woman you're about to meet tonight is going to help you change all of that. Welcome to the Goddess Power Show. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I help women boss up to live bigger, better, and bolder when I interview trailblazing leaders who help us learn their wisdom and action steps that we can all take to improve ourselves and our lives. I'm so honored to introduce to you a woman who is a women's empowerment coach and a trauma healer, Nicole Ananda Doherty. Nicole Doherty Ananda, beautiful name, is here. She's trained in so many different things: Reiki, yoga, trauma healing. And she's here tonight to share some action steps that we can all take. So, welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And I was just like watching you and your radiance as you were speaking, and it like lit me up all over my face. Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, so much.
Well,
Oh my goodness there.
oh, well, when we met during a virtual meeting, I was just really struck by your mission and your passion and your light. And so I'm really excited for you to be here, Nicole, because I think that you can share some information that can help us all in many ways. But a lot of us don't discover that light or that power until we're in pain. So I love on your beautiful website how you say, I found myself in my victim.
uh,
Whoa. I think a lot of Goddess Power viewers can relate to that because it's in the pain where we find our power. So, can you first, Nicole, share your story of how you became all of this leader in helping women?
yeah, thank you so much. Honoring the darkness, right? I really want to honor the darkness right now because it is such a birthing place for our light. I was just talking to a woman actually 5 minutes ago on the phone about all of this, like stepping into the goddess and stepping into ourselves and learning that a lot of that is initiatory energy. It's like when we go through these really challenging times, we go through all of these pains and these sufferings, it's also the chaos that begets the star, it births the star. And so, one of the things that I think a lot of us, or how we think of this stuff, pain, suffering, darkness, it's like, ew, sticky. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to
Right.
disassociate from it. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to push it under the rug or do whatever it is to avoid it. But that's actually never going to heal what's actually there, right? So the disrespect, the dishonor, all those words, those dis words that you used,
Yeah.
I remember feeling those so often in my life, and that was the victim. It was believing that I was powerless,
Hmm.
believing that I couldn't change those stories, believing that that was the only way, or that
Hmm.
life was against me. And I've suffered many traumas in my life, as I'm sure many of us have, right? I believe everybody suffers trauma all the time. And of course, there's varying degrees of what trauma is. But it all starts, with our childhood, and that's what I finally came to recognize was the patterns that kept persisting, that never seemed to go away. Like, I'm stuck here
Hmm.
again, I'm here again, here again, this
Yes.
perpetual
Yes.
pattern. Why am I still here? And it
Hmm.
wasn't until I recognized that I was really in control of that story. I was
Hmm.
victimizing myself. So to take
Mm.
ownership and to take responsibility. And I didn't know how to do that, right? There were times in my life where I really didn't understand how to do that. So my gift in the mastery of life and going through that kind of arduous windy road and process of self discovery is to give that back to women, to give them really like more of a linear process, even though it feels maybe very non-linear sometimes and chaotic, but to give them a process of self mastery, to
Hmm.
understand how to reprogram the victim story
Hmm.
and to rise up into power, to become powerful again,
Can
to
you
become
talk about how you did that? Because on your website, you said everything was roses and then suddenly it wasn't.
yeah,
And
the
that's
deep dark
where,
night of the soul. Yeah.
yes. So what happened to you?
Yeah, so what happened to me was oh gosh, there's been many dark nights of the soul, but the most recent one that I wrote about on my website was I met somebody and we were going down this great road and I was pregnant and I had been through all this like medicine work and trauma work and healing work and I was like, yes, I'm at the light at the end of the tunnel and now I'm pregnant and I've got this partner and everything's
Uh-huh.
amazing. And it was like boom, all of a sudden, all of these deep seated patterns started to show up. And I felt lied to, I felt dishonored, I felt disrespected. All the words that you used in the beginning showed up again. And the role that this person played was literally the role of my father to the T. And I
What?
thought, wow, after all that healing work, I'm back in the same story. Men are going to lie to me. They're always going to disrespect me. They're not going to tell the truth. And
Hmm.
this had everything to do with the way that I grew up and my childhood trauma. And so here I was again, after decades, it felt like, of doing work with this in another situation that was the same exact pattern. And I was like,
Wow.
I'm done. I'm done. I have to give up. I have to give up this story. What do I need to do to reclaim myself? And it's actually how I birthed my programs. So I went in
Uh-huh.
really, really deep dive of ownership. And so that's a lot of the work that I do, is creating self-discipline, consistency, but major accountability and self-ownership around the shadow of victim,
Ooh.
perpetrator, rescuer, and martyrdom.
Oh,
Core
wow.
archetypes are shadow addictions. They are addictions. We're addicted to these things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's an ego addiction story. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as a past person who coped with my trauma through addiction, it was just another addiction. I'm the victim.
Wow.
See? And then all of life would just orchestrate itself to perpetuate my story of victimhood.
Oh my goodness. I hear you so strong. Wow. Wow. I feel you. We've all been there too many times. So, how do you get out of how do you escape that?
Yeah, well, my path and my journey and what I teach is to really go deeply into the inner child
Mm-hmm.
and to understand, and this comes from my yogic background, how neuroscience and Western psychology meets Eastern philosophy and yogic kind of science.
Okay. 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 Wait. That was so cool. Can you say that sentence one more
Yeah.
time?
Yes,
That was
yes, yes.
amazing.
So it's bridging neuroscience and Western psychology with Eastern philosophy and yogic technology. And what I mean by that is we work a lot in the Western world on the mind, and that
Mm-hmm.
is awesome and well and good. And talk
Mm-hmm.
therapy is a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
What we've often left out in the West, as we're all discovering, I think more and more, is that there's not a deeper kind of rooted uh, direction or focus, let's say, on the root causes of a lot of our problems. So we
Right.
can talk about the problems, again, that's well and good and needed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 different layers in the yogic system that they call the koshas that are remaining unaddressed in the Western perspective, which is our energy body, our emotional body, and then the subconscious mind, which I know we're all starting to talk a lot about, which is our programming of the mental mind, and
Mm-hmm.
that's beneath the conscious mind. So there's a bridge that kind of needs to be connected to also the physical body. And and unless we're addressing all of those layers, I like to think of tree rings, we've got to do
Oh.
all the tree rings. The bark
Uh-huh.
is just the physical body, and it
Mm-hmm.
just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we address those is also with our senses. We have physical
Oh.
body, touch, right? We have taste, we have sound, we have feelings, right? We have like inner sight. And so all of those things, all of those layers are also avenues for releasing trauma. So to just say,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about your inner child's trauma isn't going to release all of the other aspects of that trauma. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really wanted to discover was how do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
So, applying all of these different sciences and technologies, I really went deep into the chakra system. I mean, I've been studying that for at least 2 decades and was like, okay, each chakra has its color, as a lot of us know, it has tones, as many of us know, it has ideas and concepts. It also has all of our programming. Because
Mm.
this is like a record. It's a vortex and it is like a CD. And I'm dating myself eventually, like CD-ROMs. Remember those? CD, and it's recording ones and zeros. It's recording information. Root chakra, you're
Wow.
one. Your birth trauma and your birth until you're one, and all the things that you're learning around you. And then it goes up to the age of 2 and 3, and it's recording all of your mother, father, relationship modeling, masculine, feminine, etc. And it just keeps going up. Then it's like, what's my role? What's my identity? And throughout this whole system, we're getting so much information all the way until the age of 8. And so that's what I wanted to focus on was how are we programmed? Because the programming relates to our ego. The inner child is the ego and the subconscious. And in order to see ourselves consciously, we have to really know what that information is. And then we use mantras, meditations, embodiment activities, mirror work, all sorts of different sensory things, shamanic drum journeys. I do a lot of shamanic processes as
Ooh,
well,
love
core
that.
ceremonies, energetic processes to address the different ways that we learn, that we integrate, and that we heal. And so
Mhm.
it's kind of like this full body experience that,
I love it. I love it. Okay, so Nicole, you work with people one-on-one and in groups, correct?
yes, I do. Yeah.
So do people sign up with you to address a certain issue, or do you have a sort of a program that covers all the things you just discussed?
Yeah, I do have a program. It's called Unleash the Priestess Within and Thrive. And
Unleash the priestess within and thrive.
thrive. Yeah. So
Love it.
similar to
Love
you,
that.
it's like bossing up, like really unleashing what I'm calling the priestess energy,
Hmm.
and empowering women on their healing path
Yes.
to reclaim their power and to step into their purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you define what is a priestess? Because I'm over here talking about goddesses. So what is a priestess?
I love that. Priestesses and goddesses. To me, the word unleash the priestess came to me actually in a ceremonial experience, and it literally like dropped in my lap. And it was a feeling more than anything else. And I know there's a lot of definitions out there. I would say priestess is owning your sovereignty, is stepping into the wholeness of who you are and the holiness that you are. And
Beautiful.
it's breaking the bounds, and it's also creating rituals and ceremonies and almost like collecting modalities and tools to bring
Hmm.
back to your community and
Hmm.
to enlist and empower others to rise up with you. It's leadership and femininity, and sometimes it's like this. It's very feminine and it can be really creative,
Uh-huh.
but it's also paired with that balance of the masculine visioning, and that's what I think of as the priestess. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's very similar to goddess because I'm not talking about specific goddesses. I'm talking about the energy of it. And that's exactly what you just described. So, on the path to unleash the inner priestess, Nicole, we hear the word, you said trauma and healing. And when I first had my awakening, I was like, what's all this talk about trauma and healing? I'm okay. I wasn't really okay. Like I was doing those repeating patterns. I just didn't know. So, how do you help women awaken to that understanding, that awareness?
Yeah, really the key, I think, especially when I talk to women initially, is if they feel like they're not living into their dreams and their purpose. So
Mm.
if you're not doing what you feel like you really want to be doing in your heart, there's
Yes.
something there. There's a limiting belief or belief system or
Uh-huh.
upset or trauma that's preventing you from activating kind of the core of who you are. Um,
Mm.
so I usually ask women, like, what is your vision? And then secondarily, why aren't you living it? Or not even why. Why sounds a little defensive, but like, what's stopping you from living in alignment with your dreams? And people will say, I don't even know what my purpose is. And I'll say, actually, your purpose is encoded in you. It's just unblocking all of those limiting beliefs to align with what you feel like is your essence. Because once we align with our core essence, doing life is just doing us. It's just being who we are, right? And
Uh-huh.
then kind of the universe conspires to allow us to reveal ourselves and support and service what we know we're here to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that, and it's feeling that constriction and tension and resistance
Mm-hmm.
coming up against, like we said, patterns that are perpetuating themselves. It's like getting stuck underneath a glass ceiling and not being able to like move through
Mm.
it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's that experience.
So you help women shatter these limiting beliefs because that's very difficult. First of all, to understand what they are, and secondly, to disrupt those patterns. How do you do that?
Yeah, a lot of self inquiry, slowing down, grounding into our bodies, listening to our wombs, our intuition. Accountability comes to mind. Like I said, self responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to ask for support, doing that in community with commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm thinking of like energy and grounding and consistency, and then integrating. Integrating is such an important part of our healing process that often gets missed. So having time with something is really important because we can get back into old habits, but if we have space and time where we're committed, then
Mm-hmm.
we can see what's kind of taking us out habitually.
Wow. So, Nicole, how do you feel today? And your radiant smile says it all, but how do you feel today in comparison to that pain moment that launched this whole process for you?
Oh my, night and day, literally
Uh-huh.
night and day. And we all have our moments, of course. And I would be, it would be silly to say that I don't have days where I, struggle with things. But I would say overall, my light is so much bigger than any trauma that I've ever suffered at this moment in time. I know that every trauma is a teaching. So even when
Mm-hmm.
I get challenged and I feel icky and sticky and mucky, as long as I sit and I stay in my spiritual practices with discipline, I can shift things really, really, really quickly. And I think
Oh,
that's the journey is knowing that even if you have tough times, they'll get shortened and they'll get diminished in some way. I don't think we ever
uh-huh.
leave our traumas completely behind. I think they're there for a reason.
Uh-huh.
But we relate to them differently. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like we greet them like an old lover instead of like, ah, it's like, what is it teaching me today? Let me kind of dive in with compassion and self-love and really nourish even the challenge, in a different way. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. So, Nicole, what are some action steps you can offer women right now that they could do today to start shift?
Mm. I would say commitment came to mind. Like I'll do something really quickly with the chakras because it's
Please.
the way that I think.
Okay, I love it.
The way that I feel so deeply in my body with my work is one, grounding, right? First chakra is roots. So getting into your roots means sitting and grounding yourself, getting in your body and feeling safe. So if you don't feel safe, if you feel anxious, fear, overwhelm, sit down, get on the earth, breathe, be in nature. Ground, ground, ground. Get on the earth. Hug it. Do something to calm and get into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Second chakra, two, water. This is about the unknown, stepping into the unknown. It requires a lot of trust. So, softening. It's about softening, letting go, being okay with the surrendering process, and listening to your womb. As women, our juice is our womb. So, it's about this listening.
How do we listen to our womb?
Put your hand on your womb. Just put your hand on your womb. Close your eyes and speak to her like she's your best friend. What do you need today?
Mm. Wow.
What do you need today? Talk to her.
Mm.
She is so wise and intuitive, and she will tell you exactly what she needs if you listen.
Mm.
It may be a word, it might be a feeling.
Wow.
It's really simply breathing there.
Mm.
Dance, play. Yeah. This is our
Mm.
sensuality, our pleasure, our creativity. And instead of going up the whole chakras, if we focus on the first, second, and third, we're going to do a lot of work just in those three. Those are our very material chakras, and they're really important to being in this body. So the third one is your energy, and I would say check in on your vitality. And vitality to me means your energy. Do you feel exhausted and depleted and your life force is like, right? Or do you feel alive and vital? There's
Yeah.
so many things that we can do just to shift that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The rapid fire breathing will give you more energy. Eating
Mm.
chronic foods, like living foods, will give you more energy. Sleeping more will give you more energy. But eventually going deeper, cutting energetic cords, really bringing your power back to yourself, knowing what your role is, not leaking your energy outward, spending time with yourself and pulling back Facebook, things like social media. There's so many ways that you can harness energy. And if you're met with more energy, you can just greet your life with more power at a
Mm.
very simplistic level. It's way
Mm-hmm.
deeper than that, but right, like having good energy. So getting safe in your body, getting grounded, being in deep listening, however that means for you, nature, dancing, just softening, relaxing, and then finding out what's happening with your energy.
Mm.
And then committing to doing that like as a daily practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's huge. Committing takes discipline. So we make that promise to ourselves. And sadly, too many of us have broken many promises to ourselves. So we have to decide, no, I'm going to commit to this decision. And then it takes discipline to follow through on it. Because the driving force, Nicole, do you agree, is that I just want to feel better and I want to stop making the same pattern loop in my life and keeping me stuck. Do you agree
Absolutely.
with that?
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
a great motivator. Once you hit that wall one too many times and realize, wait, what is going on here? And then that's when the commitment comes. You're like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready. And
Yeah,
that's when, hmm?
I was going to
that
say, I'm
that's
ready. You get it.
yes. And that's when women knock at your door or email you or call you and say, I want to work with you, Nicole, because I need help. So when a woman comes to you, what do you first do? Say it's a one-on-one session. Do you do like an assessment?
Yeah, with the coaching programs and like the longer journey, I get on a phone call with them and I take them through a process. If they're just coming to one-on-one sessions with me for healing, I will do like a 2 hour kind of in-person assessment as well. It's inner child work. So I'll do an inner child process and an energy extraction and a
Mm-hmm.
big client intake about their history. If they
Mm-hmm.
know they're going on a long journey with me, like their history, like I talk to them about how we unravel that entire history over 3 months. So it's slightly different, but it is always going back to, you know, the first date for me is not a fun first date necessarily. It's like,
Ah!
what's your mom like? What's your dad like? What did you go
Oh,
through? But but it's to get to the core wounds, and that's really the crux of it, and
Mm-hmm.
in a beautifully loving, compassionate, and safe way.
Mm,
Getting to the real deep statements of like, I'm not worthy, or I'm not loved, or I'm not good enough, and the myriad of ways that we can express that.
mm-hmm.
That would be the first meeting,
Mm-hmm.
is understanding that
Mm-hmm.
those core wounds.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Nicole, where can people find you?
They can find me on my website, nicoleanandacoaching.com, nicoleanandacoaching.com. And then on Facebook, I'm Nicole Ananda Coaching and Intuitive Healing Arts. On Instagram, Unleash the Priestess, which is the name of my coaching program. So I'm kind of on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the ways.
And what's it like? What do you witness occurring in women when they work with you?
Mm. I always say deep healing and transformation, and reclaiming their power, their sovereignty, like really reclaiming their passions as well, what they love doing,
Mm-hmm.
and stepping into their purpose. Primarily, the women that I work with are healers or in some sort of service industry, either healers, therapists, coaches. Those are my primary clients. So they know
Mm-hmm.
they want to be in service. And so it's how do they step deeper into that service
Mm-hmm.
and learn skills to be a more powerful healer in the world.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. This is so exciting. Are there any final words, like to the women out there who are thinking, you know what, something isn't right. I really need to shift. I really need to heal. What are your words to them about seeking help to get the assistance that they need?
I know, it's like taking a big deep breath and knowing that the support is actually there for you. I think a lot of times as women, we forget that piece, and we feel shame or guilt, and we self sabotage, and we believe that we're isolated. And the feminine, I think the power, or I feel like the power of the feminine on the planet right now is coming into community, and
Mm,
understanding that there are women out there that can really support you and be the bridge that you can walk from point A to point Z on, and not to feel shame about that. Like we all,
yes.
so yeah,
Yes.
knowing that the support is there. And if you want it, it's there for you. It's
Mm,
willingness. I always say it's willingness. When you're ready, when you're willing, the universe will definitely put you in alignment with the right person and path, and the things that you need will show up for you. And
mhm.
people will hold your hand. Like, yeah.
Beautiful. With love.
With so much
Beautiful.
love and compassion. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That is amazing. Well, I am so grateful that you've joined me here tonight, Nicole, Doherty, Ananda, with a long list of skills and certifications that you apply to help women unleash the priestess and live in that passion and purpose and power. So, thank you for joining me here tonight on the Goddess Power Show.
Thank you so much for all that you do in the world, and the space that you hold, and the radiance that you have, and all the work that you're doing in the world. It's felt. I'm blessing that and all the women as well.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much. I wish you the absolute best. Please keep in touch so that I can bring you back and you can share all the other wonderful things that you're doing in the future. Okay.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thanks for this opportunity.
You're welcome. It's an honor. And thank you, all of you, for joining us here tonight on the Goddess Power Show, where you got to meet Nicole Doherty Ananda, who's doing amazing things to empower women and help them heal from traumas and step into their truest power and passion and purpose. Please give us a thumbs up. Like the video, please subscribe to the channel, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear any questions or comments that you might have about this. Please also head over to twosisterswriting.com and pre-order your copy of the book that inspired this show. It's called The BISS TRIBE, Activating Your Goddess Power. It's on pre-sale now and coming out very soon, and it will help you do all the things we've just been talking about. They're actually Nicole's program is modeled after her experience. Well, my book is modeled after my experience, which is all the tools for healing and empowerment that I've used and continue to use on a daily basis, and that can help you live bigger, better, and bolder as well. So thank you for watching. And remember, boss up, goddess, you have the power. I'll see you next time.